realization is just to realize that you were already what you are. So Mira, why do people come to sit with you? Intense interest to share or to be fulfilled in the search of what's reality. Already to realize that this outer world, so-called outer world, it's simple psychology, is in fact a projection of whatever is inside oneself. In Satsang, we don't base reality on the sense of I.
You talk a lot about inquiry.
Yeah.
But what about devotion? You know, is devotion essential for awakening?
Devotion for me is another word for trust. When you totally love someone, it's the same thing as you will trust. You can love because you trust. And or you trust so much that love spontaneously comes. And this is an absolutely necessary quality to come to a teacher.
To trust.
To trust. Otherwise, you see, if you come just to check, which is also another movement, you have to check if the teacher is okay for you. Once, for some mysterious reason, you feel, you smell, or you experience, this is it, this is the guide I want to stay with, you have totally to trust, because on the way, on the journey with the Master, there will come times where he will put you in such a challenge that if you don't trust him, you will run away and go and find maybe another teacher, and the same thing will happen again and again. So any word of the Master, if you don't trust, cannot take root in your heart. So there will be no effect.
It's like a love affair.
It's a love affair, but a non-dual love affair. That the Master, because he's a Master, means freed from duality, he will indicate again and again.
If she or he sees the student holding someplace, we'll go there.
Probably. But for that, the guide has to feel a demand, a real demand, you see. Not a demand with intention to deliver it somewhere else, or to already think I will be a teacher and I teach that, or to make something out of it. It has to be totally gratuit, freed from intention.
From the teacher or from the student?
From the student. From the student. Otherwise nothing works, you see. That's why to who you are, you already are, you don't need any quality for it. But as long as you identify yourself, I still believe that you need a few qualities, like total trust. Once you discriminated, you checked, this is where I will be. And being freed from any intention.
Even the intention to be free.
No. No. That sticks to you. That sticks you to the master. Or to, let's say, master looks a bit too much embodied to the guidance.
Okay. So, devotion, then what is inquiry?
Devotion brings passion to the inquiry, means you get so much passion that you will really inquire, who am I in reality? Otherwise, you may be distracted by other passions. So, of course, it cannot be, it goes together. So now, inquiry, it's arrow. It is a trick to outroot one's self-identity. And I believe that the one who is only devotional by temperament, the devotion will bring him to investigation. And the one who is intellectual by temperament will melt into devotion when his self-identity melts. So they totally meet, they are one and the same in a way.
So how did you wake up? What happened to you?
I like to say, I realized I had not to wake up.
Okay.
Because you see, realization is just to finally keep quiet with all this anxiety or investigation of who am I. So in fact, once they wake up, to the one who feels is sleepy still, or blind or ignorant. Realization is just to realize that you were already what you are. So in time, I insist, it happened to me when my master left the body. So I was sitting in my... So I tell a story, and I insist not to mistake the story for what it is. Mm-hmm. So I have to go to the memory now. Otherwise, to me, I'm quite freed from that story, because all is in imagination. So in time, I was in Brussels in my apartment alone, and several phones came to tell me that the master was on the point to leave the body, and my strong conviction, though it may have been still a conviction and not a real realization, I say it because the conviction was so strong. I said, the master never dies. But yet it made me seated like this on my bed, and I mean, this is a biggest event which is happening. You know, the master, this master who changed, who is the fulfillment of my life, is leaving the body, so I will not see him. So this it comes very quickly. It's quite simultaneous, all what I say in these details. So I felt an extraordinary urgency to finally look what he wanted to indicate me all his life. And I said some sentence I had to pick up from him. And this one I forgot which one. But I know that it led me for the first time, really believe. It led me to this, who am I? It's the first time of my life that I put the question. And I just was left where the question has to leave me. And I stayed days like this. So when I started to move or express in the mind, I remember that one of the first sentence was, and the eye never comes back. And
You said you spent days like that. Would you say everything was not here?
yeah, spend days in this big shock. And at the same time, the shock of the body and the mind, and the gratitude that you can never express to the master, and the realization of what love he must have to you, to have the patience to show you. I put it into the past because the expression of that time was like this. And of course the expression go on changing. That's what I try to tell in Satsang also. Don't be deluded by the expression, because if I was taking this expression as this will stay all the time, then I would say I lost it, you see. Because it was total quietness in the body and the mind. I mean, how could you move? And of course now I am a bit the contrary, very active. But these are just expressions.
Yeah, that was actually what I wanted to ask. In which way are you different now, just in living from before, as a person, as a human being?
Oh, no, I really play.
You play. Okay.
The deep anxiety is gone.
You laugh a lot.
I was laughing as a child. Yeah, I always laughed. That has not changed.
So is there a spiritual path? I know I'm talking in time now. Is there a path? And if it is so, what practice or what does one do on the path?
You see, to sit in satsang, in those satsang where you really don't do anything, because you are just that. To like this, you have to be ripe. I mean, ripeness can come in many ways, not only through spiritual path, but there is something in you which has to be so one-pointed, so intense to be freed, that the direct path, which is no path at all, just to hear, don't search. Don't search. You are what you are just now. This cannot require a path or a processes. Now to arrive here, everybody has a different story. Some have a long spiritual journey, some it's a big challenge in life, whatever. But this I don't touch. This is personal story. I'm very concerned with that very moment when one can really hear there is nothing to do. You see?
But could this be misused also? You know, I see people say, oh, there's nothing to do, so I just do whatever.
It can be totally misunderstood. Of course. But like anything else, you see.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes, of course.
it can excuse passivity,
Yeah.
laziness, of the dullness, of course. But what to do?
So there are more and more people in the West these days that seem to be telling the same truth,
Yeah.
like Byron Katie or Eckhart Tolle. So do you feel that it's easier for people today to wake up, or that these teachings are easier received? Like, I mean, 20 years ago we had to go to India. It was not available here.
No, it was not.
And now it seems something has happened.
I would say that, of course, now it's really available everywhere, in every town even. It's not easier.
Okay.
And there is a danger, it's always the same. When it's rare, it means maybe that a certain quality is there. When it's banalized, means when it's too much available, there is many things looking like, but may not be that. So it's difficult anyway. But demand is big. The demand is big, and still I think we are in a period of time where maybe everybody can see that it's not for elite. It's everybody can wake up.
Not some rare ancient Buddha thousands of years ago.
No. And in India they express it, they say it's Kali Yuga, the Yuga of dark age. But I would say in different words, it's the period of time of democracy.
But is it then needed? Is it necessary to have a teacher?
Or I would say that there are always exceptions, so I don't touch exceptions. Otherwise, yes. You see, how can you put into questions your basic identification or your achievement? A teacher must be there to point out to you, not yet, you see, not yet. Otherwise, how can you know? In general, yes, you badly need a teacher.
Many people talk about having a glimpse.
Yeah.
And like seeing the truth about reality for a period of time. And then they come out of that and back to identification with the body and the mind. So is your state like a permanent glimpse? I know the language is a bit...
No, because I think the glimpse is not well translated. We say a glimpse is a moment where you are in reality, where you are put in reality. In fact, it's still a veil. But as I say, it gives a flavor. It gives a flavor of what is, but it's not yet what is. So, as I said, in the dawn, you see this light, so you know the sun will come, but yet the sun is not yet there. So the glimpse is to see this pinkish light, it's not to see the sun. Realization is to see the sun. So you cannot say that, in words of course, that I am in a permanent glimpse. No. It's something else. It is something else.
Glimpse means like opening and looking.
It's a dropping. You see, when you drop everything, you are left where you are. And when you have the right indication at that moment, or when you heard and you trust the words of your master, you know what it is. But the I is not disidentified as reality. It's the I which dropped, so the da which gives the glimpse. So this I has to come back because himself was not disidentified.
I'm just thinking, when once I had this experience of total not having an eye, like really, if somebody would say, is this you, the passport? I said, no, the joke, totally seeing there is no eye, nowhere, and just seeing all this consciousness of 100%. And yet, it changed, It wasn't.
But you see what happened, I think.
But I can never forget.
Yeah. You know what happened? Is that you took the expression for it. So, you say, I saw that I am not the body. All this truth you expressed, no? You naturally expressed, and you took this for truth instead of taking from where they came from. And of course, the expression goes on changing. So if you identify with this expression of nobody, nowhere, etc., since it's an expression, it goes on changing, then you have to identify when it changes, and then you feel, I lost it, of course. But you lost the expression, not who you are.
Yeah.
I cannot enough insist about this.
So what's the difference between is the difference only the thoughts here? Only? Absolutely only? Nothing else?
No.
Because still you make it sound as if it's rather difficult and unusual to totally drop and awaken. It's not easy. And yet,
I speak of my experience. I speak of my experience. Look, I was with a perfect master. It took me 29 years. I mean, I was dull. I was blind. I don't know. It was just the way my mind was going on. So You see, I totally believe it's even more than simple, but easy I would not say, because of these amazing habits of identifying and thinking that identification is reality. But it's also a concept, huh?
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. It's also a concept.
So it could be this.
Of course. When all these concepts dissolve, disappear, once you just see that, after all, why should I stick to concepts who have no existence in themselves? But this is a realization of one's original nature.
It's like it seems like constantly dropping every moment.
And then you need not look at the dropping. You look where each so-called dropping leaves you.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So you may not even see the movement of dropping. It will free you more totally. Because you see, whatever you look is a movement of mind based on some past belief. Let it be teeny or subtle, but it's too much.
Did you say that compassion is a natural outcome of seeing?
Intellectually, I would say that compassion is a natural consequence of being freed from illusion. But who knows? Nobody who is somebody can have compassion, that I believe. It may be some charismatic feeling and this and that, but real compassion is to free somebody.
But the fact that you are busy 24 hours almost with giving satsang, being available,
it's easy for me.
Yeah.
It's not an effort, so I cannot say I do because I'm so good.
And of course, but what moves you? Why are you not just sitting and enjoying your own, freedom?
It's the same. It's the same. Because of everyone, I enjoy my own freedom. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't want to give traditional answers. I don't know.
Yeah. Can one live a so-called ordinary life and have a family, children, all that is required of living an ordinary life?
Many people I see, they just are quite lucky not to do anything in life and all, but then there is a kind of too easy, and fire is not there. Myself, I educated my child alone. I had to work for some time, and we can see that circumstances were not that easy. And I suppose it was bringing a lot of fire also to be freed from engagements. No, I think it's for everyone. It's the intensity, what is freedom? It's created by your own intensity to want to be free. There's nothing else.
Fire.
Yeah.
Has nothing with changing one's circumstances.
No.
So the feeling.
One may change if he's fed up and feels what for I feel bound and it doesn't allow me for my search, then naturally he may leave the circumstance to fully give himself to the search. Mm-hmm. But it's not necessarily like that. Huh? Mm-hmm. There is no particular way. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the key. Mm-hmm.
So being alone.
No, I tell you, those people, where are they today? They may be just still wondering and trying, because it's about the mind.
Yeah.
The so-called feeling of bondage is in the mind. You may be in a cave alone and your mind still troubles you. Better to keep troubles outside, to be engaged with children and so on, and to have a free mind.
Sometimes you talk as if the mind, or it may sound like the mind is an obstacle. Is the mind not needed to wake up? Why don't animals wake up to their true nature?
No, you need an evaluated mind. Evolved mind.
Yes, yes.
To ask this question, so that this question, who am I, has a meaning. You really need. I would say even it's the end of the evolution. You need a human body. Looks like. And you need this evolved mind to put a subjective question, the unique subjective question. In Satsang, we don't base reality on the sense of I. We question also, as we do for the outer world, we question this I. This I also is a projection, an objectification of what is. And this is yourself, what is. All the rest is just an objectification of your own self. And you see, mind as mind. What is mind? It's not a problem. It's a problem when it's taken for real, for what it is not. So mind has no substance by itself. It belongs to somebody who believes is real, so is real.
Otherwise it doesn't belong to anybody, it just is.
There is no mind, you can say.
Or everything is mind. Same thing.
Then we will not say mind, things are as they are. Often we say mind as something which is not taken for what it is. Otherwise the same things, appearance, there is no trouble with them. You can even say everything is real. Once you are freed from the tyranny of this mastership of the mind,
Like I am so and so.
or that there is a separation between outer world and you and so on. All that is the creation of the mind. But the creator is mind too. The sense of I is mind also. Not that there is a I real and then from there a mind comes. No, I believe that the multiplied creation is mind, and it is sustained because there is a creator which believes is real, which is mind. Creator and the creation, all this is mind.
So don't you have the mind?
I have a mind, but I demystified it, probably.
There's
At
no
some point.
There's no creator. There's no I in the.
The I disappears, but it's not invested with total belief it's real.
Like it knows itself, it doesn't exist. Could you say that? Like I know that I know.
Um, no, because you see, this knowledge comes from somewhere else. This knowledge is realization itself. It's not an understanding. As an understanding, you can go very far. You can tell all this doesn't exist, but then the I is taken for real. If you really see that this I itself is mine, is of no substance by itself, it's a self-knowledge.
I is a thought. It's actually a thought.
It's a thought, yeah.
And yet it goes on thinking.
Yeah.
Yet I think that
Yeah, me too.
the drama goes on. I mean,
Why?
I mean drama. I mean the stories, memories, thoughts about this and that.
I think it is. Yeah, but there is not this tyranny. It's about tyranny, you know.
About suffering.
Yeah, tyranny brings suffering because it creates separation as real experience. The trouble is the identification. What is identification? To take the full power of the mind as the master of your life. There is nothing wrong otherwise with whatever appears, disappears. Even the I can appear, disappear. Nothing wrong with that when you demystify its nature.
Your satsang seemed to point us to an experience of timelessness, a kind of no experience. Is this not yet another state which comes and goes?
If it is taken as an experience, of course. You know, if you put, you see, there is only one trouble, in fact. All those glimpses, experience of timelessness, experience of nobodiness, and so on, which is the truth. I mean, in language, what can you say better or more than this? The trouble is that somebody puts it into time. Even timelessness, it's put into time when you make it as an experience. This is the only trouble. And why it's possible? It's because the subject has not been demystified, even though one may say, I'm nobody. I don't know if I can be clearer. Let's see.
It's pretty clear. Yeah.
Oh, good.
It's like trying to take something out of time and bring it into time and say here.
Yeah.
But then it's
to
not
maintain the existence of I, because this I has this magic and this power. You see. But then you are always caught.
Yeah.
Caught.
So even this, to talk like this is wrong actually.
Yes?
If it is so easy, why don't we wake up on the spot?
Yeah.
Why don't we just...
We could. But we listen to the mind, which is time.
Who is listening to the mind? The mind itself?
The I, the creator, the I, listens to the mind. Listens to its creation. The creator is enslaved with his creation. Because if you remove the creation, creator cannot exist.
Like in deep sleep.
Yet it's a state, because deep sleep, the eye is dormant. It's dormant, it's sleeping. But everything is in the seed. Dormant means all went back to its seed.
So there is a seed before.
I,
Yeah,
the
like
creator, I would say, yeah. As an image, I think it's quite good. Because you see, there is a seed. Because if you, for example, put all your concentration, investigation of what is this tree, and you arrive to, oh yeah, I really realize that this tree is non-existent by itself. This will be an experience, but you have not touched the seed. So, this realization, you have to do it for every appearance then. And this is an endless processes. That's why it's much more helpful, efficient, and it's, to me, finally, the only direct way is to just face, question the subject, the seed of the multiplied creation.
the eye.
Yeah,
To question it, to actually.
to question means, it's a bit mysterious to me too, but if you question, already the subject becomes an object.
Yeah.
So you have known by now that whatever is an object is a projection. It comes from somewhere. So that leaves you alone. The subjective question, in a way, finally leaves you with what is, you see. Whatever you can put outside, you can drop. You need not link with it because it's objectified. So a moment of blankness? Okay, now if you don't objectify, means use your mind to tell yourself I exist in blank, where are you? For that, the magic tension which tells you I'm in blank just drops, and you abide in yourself as you always have been. That's beautiful.
What about love? You know, love for nature, for people.
The love opens the heart. I think it's what to call love. It's such a mystery that it's difficult to speak about. Maybe one can even say everything is love, you see. It's the nature of things. What means love is to not to feel separation is love. You can only love. There is love when you don't feel separation.
sitting with you in satsang, it gives very strong, at least to me, sensations in the body. And I also have it with others, and I think other people also. But I rarely hear people speak about it.
Yeah.
Very strong, just coming. Even yesterday when sitting close to you was a difference than being 10 meters away. Even just sitting, and it's like, it's hard even to describe what it is, but the whole body is experiencing it, and the mind, and sense of presence, and it's like, the bee being drawn to the honey, really, that feeling, why everybody is coming and just want to be there, because it's so something. And what is that? What is this?
Your own projection. You see the guide till it doesn't disappear for oneself. Still, it doesn't follow totally the indication of the guide. Will be the symbol of what the seeker wants to reach. Is the symbol, is the embodiment of that freedom, because he sees that, and because he has trust, he believes it's possible for himself too, you see. And so you just project everything onto your master. It's your own projection.
But it's actually also physical.
Reality. I know, but the projection can be physical.
So if I went and really had the idea that this tree is my master,
You would do the same.
The same experience?
Same. How many people tell me, oh, my master, I feel this and that, and I know that this one cannot be a master because he's not free himself, and yet they have experiences, they project so much. And it is known, it is said sometimes the disciple is better than the master. Yes.
To say.
It's a good news.
I don't know if I believe that one.
You see, when you are too sick in the body, too sick, you have to go to the doctor. You have to.
And sick in the mind.
Same. So it happened that very few times, but I said, just exorcise this this pain, and side by side come to Satsang.
Exorcise.
Exercise,
Like,
heal something, but as a very punctual and specific. Don't make it a long style life of therapy and so on. Just because this is too much. It's too much. You cannot hear anything because you are really obsessed by this problem. So exercise that, but side by side, welcome to Satsang.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing. It works. It works very well. But it's rare, it's rare. But what you bought is one of the very big issues. It's true.
Can a person, come to satsang and be interested in awakening, and at the same time pursue developing some understanding of English or yoga, doing something for the body, or
Of course. Of course.
so-called practice, which is
Of course. You see, if to me, if any practice one takes is not given, if that one doesn't give wrong meaning to it, there is no trouble. And when I say wrong meaning, to believe that one will be free through the practice.
Yeah.
If it is taken as what for it is, like yoga for a good health and body, sound, quieting the mind or whatever, or anything else, go for it, why not? I mean, we have a body, we can be active, of course. You see, I don't want to know what someone did when it comes to satsang. I don't care.
Okay.
Whatever he does, it is his own life. He can take it as this brings me to satsang. Of course, it's true. But when you see the variety of seekers, everybody has been prepared in a different way. So I don't think there is a special way which brings more in a better way than another. In that way I don't care and I don't want to know, because then I would give too much importance to a processes. So, and if it is brought into satsang as a processes which may help, then let's see. I don't believe in processes, you see. I cannot believe it. Because then I have really to assume that at some point one was bound, and realization is just to discover, not even to discover, it's just that the mind keeps quiet about all these questions. So whatever brought one to this point, it doesn't matter.
So who has this sense of presence?
I would not speak like that. I don't say that I have a sense of presence.
Oh, you wouldn't say that?
No.
This presence here.
No sense.
There's no sense of presence. No sense of timelessness.
To me it's just such a trouble to book on all those times. Good God, I would wish that everybody just gets fed up and gets rid of all those beliefs. What presence? What sense? Then those questions comes, you see.
Yet the water is heard, the birds are heard, the wind is heard.
And we are here. Mind cannot explain.
And nobody's there.
I don't have the trouble of this question anymore.
So it is.
When we speak, we say like that, but what does it mean? What does it mean? In language, it's quite good because everybody can understand that everything else is a becoming. But, acculé, comment on dit? Être acculé.
To be put against the wall.
Yeah, in language to be put into against the wall, I would say yes, and as I say in satsang also, it is or as it is, but even this is too much, you see. I
This
don't
is
say
worse.
it to me. I mean, I never say it to
Yeah.
me.
You don't say it, it just is.
Probably. Probably.
So, Mira, if I came and said to you, I want freedom, you know, freedom from bondage, freedom from suffering, this moment, what would you say?
You are already
Then, what about gradual awakening?
It's impossible. It's impossible. In this time, you can speak of an onion that you peel.
Yeah.
So there are layers and layers and layers and layers, you see. But the mistake is to think that at some point the same onion will disappear in these last, if there is, it's understand, realization cannot be the result of anything, mind you. So the understanding can reach a point where a last layer of the onion is peeled. Still the understanding will belong to somebody. And there you need to hear or hear there is something which has to be realized, that the nature of the onion actually was non-existent. So you suddenly say, but why did I peel it again and again? It was no use.
Actually, I know this. And
It's a knowledge. It's an understanding.
in that moment there is...
I. In that moment, you see, there is still the seed, a dormant I. That's why it falls into understanding. The top of the understanding is to see, really, not as a parrot you repeat, but as you say, I deeply know, it's my own experience, that nothing ever happened. Understanding, the top of the understanding. What about the one who knows?
Yes, the only thing that I can say is that I see that I is a thought. But when you say that even in deep sleep there is a seed, so I don't know where that seed is then. You know? Where, if there is a seed, even in deep sleep when there is no consciousness, no awareness, nothing is there, and still there is a seed. I don't understand.
No, the seed.
Where is the seed coming from?
From nowhere.
How can there be seed in nowhere?
But that's what I say, the seed is non-existent by nature. This magic comes from nowhere. Only we create the ownership.
By thinking.
By thinking it's real, or
Yes.
that I am somebody and so this is real. That's what I said the other day about concept. You see, concept actually, if you go into the direction of what concept brings you, means if you leave the concept behind, what do you see? emptiness. Everything is emptied by nature. Even this I thought. What is magic?
¿Qué es la magia?
You see a mirage. A mirage. There is nothing in the desert.
Es como un desierto.
And by magic means some, of course, physical ingredients which creates the magic. You see palm trees and water. But in fact, you go near means you inquire about the nature of it. It's empty. Empty. The desert is there, but that is reality, you can say. Is the substance. The substance is reality. Okay. And reality is emptiness and fullness at the same time. But you see, you speak, you went very far in a way. You say, you even see that I is a thought. But you have not demystified what is a thought. It comes and goes. Okay, this is its energy, its way to express. But what is it by nature? I have no other words, you see, I am very poor.
Like an image, like an imagination, like a pattern, which just disappears and comes and moves like...
But when it appears, don't you see it's emptied also? Appearance and no appearance is just empty by nature.
Yeah, so I see that, and then occasionally I don't see that. I mean...
because it's an understanding. If you have an understanding, it has to be clear sometimes and it has to be unclear sometimes. Because it's duality. It is the way things express.
Even the understanding can even see that the understanding also.
Oh, it's so clever.
Yes.
It's so clever. I know. You see, why I continue to argue, it's because if any experience, let it look like freedom, if at some moment you lose it, you have the feeling of losing it or that it's veiled for some time, it means it is based on some illusory reality. Otherwise, it is absolutely not possible. It's my experience. Because I have known all those things, you see. Yeah. So today I can be very authoritative about that. I myself thought so many times, that's it. Now I know what it is and what not, whatever the words was. But I didn't see that I was basing, and I didn't know, this is the identification, that there was still an identification with I. You know, the habit is always to speak of something else.
Yes.
It's never to just...
Yeah.
So even when you say nobody and so on, it's still an objectification, a projection, you see.
But it's also a matter of how we can speak. Otherwise we cannot talk about it. No?
Yet we can talk. I cannot mistake there when it is a conceptual or when it comes from just freedom. This is impossible to mistake, you see.
The mind wants to know the...
Yeah, it is his duty.
So it's not my responsibility.
First of all, have you a mind to be responsible for?
If you ask me for it, I cannot say, here it is. Or,
So what's missing?
I don't know.
Something is missing, otherwise you would be clear. You would be sure. You see, even humbleness will not do, it's also arrogance. This is quite humble talk from you. Mm-hmm. But it's also arrogance because there is still someone who just expects a confirmation or something, you see.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So when I really try to indicate that you didn't touch the eye, you say, yes, I have seen, I'm nobody and all that.
Okay.
You have not done it, mind you. You have not done it. Doesn't matter, can go like this, but don't think that this has been demystified, even if you cannot believe it. Otherwise I would not be on you like this.
That's good.
Tell you. Yeah, but then
I don't think that it has been taught.
okay, but you see, there is not like half demystified or there is nothing like that. It is demystified or not.
Okay, then I'm in ignorance.
Okay, but then
all is in vain. Then all was for nothing.
yes,
And then this is for nothing too.
yes, then why do you think it's real?
You're dangerous. What a tiger. Okay, my head is inside now. You can bite.
Okay, you allow me?
Yes, please.